you're probably asking me now, well, why on earth am I letting my paint dry in between these steps? Well, I'll tell you, it's because if you don't let the painting dry, there are some special effects that you just cannot get. And so that's why we're letting it dry, and then now the real fun begins with all this special highlighting, and well, you'll see as we go along. I'm thinking that we'll start out with a little sketch. Let's have a mountain here. This is way off kind of in the distance. Might even be just a faint one back here, just a real faint one. And we might even have a little bit more of a mountain that's a little bit closer up. And across here, we'll have some evergreen trees. These are distant. And let's have a small body of water here. And let's start a little waterfall here. Let's come across like so, and down, and down. And maybe it comes out here. And we'll have some rocks in here, some boulders. And maybe, well, I don't know what we'll have in here. Maybe just some grasses or something just coming up, just to close off those edges a little bit. So I don't know, what do you think about that? So you see these three brushes? These are just chip brushes that I get from the hardware store. They're like 75 cents or something. They're under $1 anyway. And what I do is I just cut these off to the length that I want. If I want something real fuzzy for grasses and stuff, I'll just leave it natural. If I want something a little more manicured, I'll do that. And if I want something really scrubby, I'll cut it off even more. So that's a really handy hint to save your brushes. I have here just a little linseed oil and a little thinner mixed together. I'm just going to dip my brush into here, and I'm just going to go over my canvas. I just want to put a light coating on here, and what I'm doing is actually putting this more in the sky. And I'm going to leave these markings here. I'm not going to be too concerned about going over the lines or anything like that. You notice I have a new setup today. We'll see how this works out. I don't know. We'll see. It could be good, it could be bad. Now I just want to go into a little titanium white. And I'm just going to cover the top of the sky area. The reason I changed this camera angle is because I was going to hope that you would be able to see my hand a little bit better. Whether this is really going to work or not, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, just go ahead and just lightly cover this whole top area here. You can go over your lines. It won't make any difference. And what I used here is a black fine charcoal. This is great stuff because it just comes off real easy if you want to remove it. And then while I've got so much here on the brush, I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to put some down here in this water, in the water area. Okay, and I may even just add a tiny bit to this waterfall area. Okay, let's leave that alone now. I'm starting out with my floral brush. This is a natural bristle brush. This is a very nice brush. It's a 3/4 inch if you need the size. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up in the sky. Now I want kind of a stormy look, and so let's see, let's start out with a little, how about some blue, some brown, a touch of purple, A little more brown. It's sort of, we want sort of a grayish color. And I'll add even a little white so we can see more of what color it is. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, I'm going to add a touch of blue. Okay, I'm going to start up in the corner here. And I'm just going to come down and just, this, it doesn't make any difference which way you go on this. I just want to cover the sky. So black, blue, brown, a little bit of purple. Let's start over here. Ooh, isn't that pretty? I like that. Oh, that's very pretty. Just work way across. We'll just sort of blend these colors. Notice I'm mixing them so that they're not always the same colors. It'll be different colors as I go along. Ah, blue. I want this a little bit darker up here. And just work your way down. And just for right now, just get the colors in there. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be exact. So just mix these colors up any way that you like. Oh, that is very nice. Oh, very nice. And let's go ahead and grab some white here. I want to have a lot of whiter color in through this area. And maybe a little more white in through here. They're not clouds, they're just a lighter color. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, set that brush aside and let's go into my little bunny brush. And we're just going to lightly just kind of take some lines out and just sort of blend this together. And just work this in however you see fit, that it makes a sky that you're happy with. And you can even make sort of a kind of a windswept sky by brushing it a little bit. That makes a kind of an interesting area. Here is a kind of a neat little brush. It's just a synthetic. I have no idea what size it is because it's all worn away. I can't even read it. But if I were to put the bristles on my thumb, according to my thumbnail, you can see about the size. And I'm going to use this for making the mountains. So I want to go into some of this darker color, probably a bit more on the lavenderish side. A little black, a little blue. No green this time, just more into the blues. And also some white for the distance because I want it to show up differently. Let's try this. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay. Let's just go ahead and make a mountain here. Go in and just Now you guys will have to let me know how you like this particular brush, or not the brush, I'm sorry, how you like this particular camera angle. If you can see a little bit better what I'm doing, or if it's worse. I would like your input, please. And this, just let it trail off to the edge. Black, blue, purple, maybe a touch of brown, just to tone it down just a tiny bit. Let's go over here. Oh, that needs more blue. Definitely more blue. And a touch more purple and white. You just keep adjusting this until you get it the way you like it. My canvas is way up high right now. I mean, like way higher than, almost higher than I can reach. Here I want a bunch of lighter color because we had this way off distant mountain here. And a little blue in there. Yeah, that's good. And probably we would have a little, let's have a little one over here also. Just going off the edge, way off, far, far away. You can rough up these edges to make them jagged, which kind of is interesting. They don't always have to be straight. Okay, that's good. I like that. Let's add just a hair of white. Let's see, our light source is going to be coming in from, actually it's going to be coming in kind of from the center. So let's go ahead and just make a little bit lighter on this side. Notice I'm not doing a great deal, just a little bit. And we'll get lighter as we come down, only because, you know, the mist sort of takes over the mountains. Just distance in itself will lighten it. Just keep adding your white. Now notice I did not add any medium at all to the mountain area. This is only the paint itself. It's on a dry canvas. I don't normally paint on a dry canvas, but I thought I would try this. I think still a little bit more white down here. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, take my bunny brush and just sort of blend this out. I'm just doing little circular strokes. This will really push those mountains back. Go ahead and go back into a darker color again. I'm just using black, blue, and purple. And let's have some hills here. Now these would be a little bit darker, and they don't have to be jagged. But they are a little bit closer. And just start adding a little bit of green into this. Maybe a little white also. This is, I'll have a full list of all my colors down below. In the description area. Whoop, too dark. That's more white. There we go. And just bring this down. This is going to be our land area. And if you're finding it's a little too dry to work, just dip into a little bit of your medium. And boy, that'll just help it spread so easy. But when I say a little bit, boy, that's what I mean, just a tiny bit. A slight bit of blue down here. I don't know why, I guess just because I felt like it. I thought that would be pretty. And what I want to do now is take the same brush. Now this is my flat brush. Like I say, I don't know what size it is. I've wiped it off really well. It's just, you know, about the size of my thumbnail. I'm going to go into some black, blue, purple, green. I want a pretty dark color. Well, no, not too dark. Let's add some white to it. Let's try this and see what happens. I want to add to these areas here. Well, let's start over here. Just a few like evergreens. These would be way back off in the distance. And you can have as few or as many as you want. I'm not going to have too many. These are just suggestions. I am amazed at how tired my arm is getting. I'm not used to holding this up in the air like this. Usually I have my canvas flat on my table, and so I'm looking down on it with my camera overhead. But I thought I would just try this just for something different. I want to go into some blue. Some white. Gosh, you know, I'm finding that the more I'm using these water mixable oil paints, the more people are trying them. And those that are trying them seem to really love them. And I'll tell you, it's just so much safer to use than regular oil paint. You clean with soap and water. The smells are wonderful. The cleanup is just fantastic because it just takes a matter of minutes in the sink and you're all done. And I just, you know, especially around younger children or anybody that has lung issues or health issues, it's just a great product to use. So if you haven't tried water mixable oils, I really encourage you to go ahead and pick up a brush and try them. I want to add just a tiny bit more white into this here. Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to start incorporating the purple. And this is going to be the waterfall. Not very straight, is it? But I don't want it to be. And down here, we're going to incorporate more blue again. Some white. And just start coming across. Hopefully my hand is not in the way. Oh, I hope not. Okay. Now let's go ahead, and we want to have downward strokes. And I think I want more blue in this water here. You just have to play around with it till you get the colors that you like. Now with this brush that I did the white background on, this is my little short one. I'm going to use this to scrub in some ground. And that's all I want to do is just scrub in ground. So for that color, let's go into more of this shade. Let's see, that was a little black, blue, purple. Maybe a touch of brown. And let's just go ahead and start scrubbing it in. Well, I tell you, this putting the underpainting in, this is a very boring process. But you know what? Without doing the boring process and going through the ugly stages, you really can't make a painting look beautiful. And if it's if it's too hard to scrub, again, I would say just dip into the tiniest little bit of thinner. I want to add green to this, quite a bit of green. Black, blue, purple, a little brown. And you know, this is just the undercoating of this painting. And as after it dries and we put on these finishing touches and the highlights and stuff like that, oh, I think you're going to love it. It's going to be very interesting. But like I say, this is the boring part. We just have to get through this. And so all I'm doing is adding mixtures of black, blue, green, and just mixing that up and getting it on the canvas. Okay, and let's go to the other side. I want to add some green to that. Oh, nice. Okay, I like this. Wiping that brush off just a tiny bit. I want to just blend out this on the bottom here, ever so slightly, just so it's not a hard line. Actually, we could even bring this out some. With this dark color now, let's go back into our black, blue, purple, green, brown, just the dark colors. I want to make just a couple of these a little bit darker. Kind of like they are more in the foreground. And we might even have like a few bushes in here. Going to darken these edges just a hair. Now I want to bring a couple of trees closer. So I'm going to go into some black, blue, purple, green, and just really get this brush full of paint. Probably should just make a big pile, it would be easier. But then it's also very nice to be able to have these different shades. So let's go in. I'm going to have some rocks down here. But what I think I'll do is let's go ahead and just put in a couple of evergreen trees. I'm going to put one here. Let's see. I don't want to go too tall, but As I paint this evergreen tree, I'm starting at the top with just a couple of little dabs and just making a kind of a baseline trunk. And as you can see, what I'm doing is just using the very corner of the brush. And look at the angle of my brush handle. I'm left-handed, so my handle is to the left. If you're right-handed, your handle would be more towards the right, and it is slightly pointed downwards so that I get the right angle for those branches. If you get the wrong angle, they look really kind of weird and just not very attractive. And if you find a place that didn't quite get filled in right, well, just go ahead and fill it in so that it is like you like it, so that it's attractive to you and you would be happy to have it in your painting. So we need a little friend for this tree. He has to have at least one little friend here. And let's put one way back here in the back side. This one is smaller, further away, but it's still there. Just it'll kind of balance out the painting a little bit better. And let's go into a little more. This painting is going to be using a lot more paint than I normally would use. Let's just have one big one here. Whoops, more paint. Notice as I come on further down the tree, I start pressing a little bit harder. Oh, I like that one. Let's go maybe just two more. How about one? Actually, let's just do one more. We'll do it right about here, because I don't want this to get too busy. I just like a small knife. Go into a little brown, a little white, and just sort of make a marble mix. Like so. Whoops, not enough. Very, very tiny roll. And let's just go ahead and just barely touch here and there. All right, to my palette now, I'm going to add some yellow. And I'll tell you, my yellow, who was it? Bram was talking about the yellow in the water mixable oil being so thick, and boy, he's not kidding. It is so thick, and that's the only color I have a problem with in the water mixables. But what I do to that is just add a little bit of thinner to it, or oil medium, whichever, and that just thins it out beautifully. So I'm taking this same fan brush. I just dipped it in a little water just because I wanted to get all that green out to start with, and just blot it dry. Okay, so let's go into this yellow. Now this is, like I say, this is really, really thick. So I'm just going to bring it out like so. Dip into my medium. And see, that makes it just perfect. Because remember, a thin paint will stick to a thick paint, but not the reverse. There, that's getting to be a pretty highlight color. Okay, let's try that. Scoop up a little bit. And let's just go ahead and hit a few of these little places here. I sure do want to thank all of you viewers that have donated to that Super Thanks. that is listed underneath the video. It's the one with the little dollar signs on it. Gosh, with your donations, I was able to purchase a new light, an above head light for my easel. And so that's what I'm using today. And I can see it's got a slight glare on it, and I'll try and see if I can adjust the lamp to fix that. But wow, does this ever brighten it up nice. I really like the way it brings the colors to life. It's much easier to see what I'm painting this way. Oh, wow, that's lovely. I'm going to go back to this brush that I was using before on the mountains, and I rinsed it off with some water, made sure I really blot it dry. And I want to go in and start making a few rocks, and so let's take some brown, maybe some yellow, maybe even a little white. Oh, and definitely some purple. And for rocks, boy, this is weird, but what we're going to do is just kind of make just dabs and dips here and there. Clean your brush off because it'll pick up all that green. Let's go ahead and do more brown. Let's go on this side. We'll probably have a rock over here, maybe one here, probably a few in the grass here and there. Probably one in the water. Wipe that brush off. And just place these rocks kind of just like anywhere you want them. Probably bigger ones down here. These actually really will turn out to be like stones. We'll probably even have, oh gosh, let's enclose this one even more. That'd be a beautiful rock right there. Probably one on the other side too. But it needs to be a darker brown. Yeah, maybe even one right there. Maybe there would be one coming out. You can make a little falls right there, you know, like the water's coming down and then it'll drip over this way and then this way, and yeah, just be pretty little things. Green. That's going to be a little highlight in the grass. And let's see, do a few sample things first before you actually start doing on your painting. So I kind of like that. So let's just go ahead and go with that. And I'll probably do more highlighting later. But I just want highlights in through this area for right now. And as it comes out, I just let it get darker and darker. Kind of going in between the rocks here. We'll sharpen up these rocks here in just later in the painting. Let's go in here. I decided that I also wanted to add just a little bit more color into this water here. I want the stones to show up probably just a little bit more. The reason I decided to do this is because I thought, well, the waterfall would really look a lot prettier if it had more to it. Let's see if this comes down here and across, and let's go out here. I may even change this curve later. I may bring this water out. I'm going to let it dry first and I'll decide. And maybe I'll just decide not to do anything at all. I don't know. You know, this is all trial and error. We just do what we feel like doing when we feel like doing it. What I want to do now is just put a little birch tree in here. And so I have another Royal Langnickel. This is a number 5 round brush. And this would be great for making like a birch tree. So let's go into a little of this yellow. And you'll probably need a little bit of thinner here. I do want to thin this out somewhat. So we'll go into a little yellow. And a lot of white. I want this just to be a very, very still white, but kind of off-colored, and a touch of brown, just to warm it up a little bit. Ooh, that'd make a nice birch color. Not really white, not brown, not green. And again, I want this thin, so I'm going to add thinner to it. This is my linseed oil and thinner mix. Okay, bring that to a nice point. This may not be pointy enough. I don't know. We'll try it and see. But I think a birch tree would look nice right here. And so let's just go ahead and start back here and wander off this way. Come back here, there. And a couple of branches. Let's have this one come up a little bit higher. Oh, I like that. Okay, and how about one over here? Let's do 2 over here. And maybe just one right here. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I think that'll work. I think I'll put just a little teeny one here, just like a new branch. Brand new. Okay, and here I want to wipe out my brush really well and just sort of feather that in. And these birch are a little bit higher than the evergreens that are behind it. And they would even have like a black, not too black, mixing that in with the yellow, and a little more black. So from a distance, this should look very birch-like. And I think just because these are all on the same level, let's go ahead and bring that down some. Let's go into this really dark color, the green, black, blue, sort of our grassy color. Let's go ahead and fill that in here. Wipe your brush off really well. Go into this go into this lighter color again. And let's just bring that more forward. Yes, I do think that does look better. Just kind of feather that out on the bottom. And since I'm changing things, I just decided let's go ahead and change this other one here just a slight bit too, so that these two are not on the same level, but just slightly, ever so slightly different. Into your white again. And let's come down just a little bit. Wipe the brush off, feather that in. Maybe a little bit of green here on the bottom. Yeah. Now this is very important. I want you to let this painting completely dry. I usually let mine dry for about a week, but you can test it. It'll be touch dry. When you rub your finger over it, it won't be sticky. It'll be it'll feel quite dry. So this is where we're at with our painting right now. And I'll tell you, I think you're going to really love this. This is going to be so fun. Anyway, you're probably asking me now, well, why on earth am I letting my paint dry in between these steps? Well, I'll tell you, it's because if you don't let the painting dry, there are some special effects that you just cannot get. And so that's why we're letting it dry, and then now the real fun begins with all this special highlighting and well, you'll see as we go along. Anyway, I wanted to show you something else. My sister, knowing that I was doing this, she went and she copied off the internet pages of rainbows for me to look at, so that, you know, because rainbows are all different shapes, colors, sizes. There's just an enormous amount of rainbows out there. And so anyway, she was such a sweet dear. I just love her. Anyway, so she copied all those off for me, so I have like reference materials to look at. So I don't think I've picked anyone out that I really love, because I've already had something in mind for this one. But anyway, we'll see how it works out. So come along, let's go get started. Oh, and remember, this painting is totally dry now. So I got a new palette here because I wanted to incorporate a few different colors. I added yellow, fresh yellow, some orange and red, and then my other colors, just my regular colors. And so the first thing that I want to do, let me adjust this light and see if that takes away some of the glare. I hope so. Okay, I want to take a little bit of this to a little white, and let's go into a touch of yellow. I want this very, very light color, sunshiny kind of color. And what I want to do is I get this on the brush, and then I wipe it off as much as I can. And what I want to do is just lightly go in here and just lighten a few areas here. I'm avoiding the tree. And just lighten that up, just too much. Okay. And a little bit more. There's just a few kind of like bright spots in the sky. And actually, I don't know if this will work, or let's try it. Let's try, we could even add a hint of blue in there. Like the blue is coming through. The sky is opening up just a hair. I kind of like that. Let's go over to this one and do the same thing. So it's just, just a little hint. Yeah, I think that's very pretty. Okay, leave that alone now. Just wipe that brush off. And the other thing I decided before I get too far into this is I decided I wanted to bring this water over more. So with that, we had some white, some blue, some purple. I think we had a little brown in there. Let's try that. Yep, that's pretty close. Okay, we'll just go with that. So I just wanted to bring this out more. And just kind of fade it into the ground here. And I decided I want a little rock here. Wipe the brush off and just sort of fade that in. Now we're going to start the highlighting. This is probably the most fun part. So I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to grab this brush here. This is my little, gosh, it's just a little tiny one, number 2 round it looks like. Oh no, number 2 flat, sorry. Very small, you can see from my thumbnail. Okay, I want to start going into, let's grab some white. Oh, let's start here. And a touch of yellow. Too much yellow. A little touch of orange. More white, because this is going to be just kind of not a bright highlight, but this is just going to be a little bit of highlight color. And here is, I just added some of this dirty color to it because I don't want a bright color right now. Okay, we're going to start out by, just look at your rocks. Now yours are going to be different from mine, but what you do is you look at your rock and you decide, well, if the light is coming from up here, it would hit definitely on the top here. Probably come down a little bit. There'll probably be some here. And definitely some here, maybe here. You just look at your rock and look for where the sun would hit, where the light spots would be. This might come down here. Probably we could have one going this way. And from here on, we're going to be just working with light versus dark. We're just going to add lightness and darkness to make these rock formations just come out and glow. They'll just kind of show. So like I said, this is not a very light color so far, and just kind of change the color up every once in a while. You don't want all identical colors. And let's see, we probably have one back here. Now these are just suggestions. They're not actually real rocks. They're just picking out some highlights. You see how this is working? A little bit of dark here. Let's have one back here maybe. Oh, here's another one. And you just kind of look for any place that you think could be a rock. You could put one in here, a little one here. This is not using very much paint. This is very little paint. And just keep working back and forth from lights to darks. So now I'm just sort of blending some of this in. Step back every once in a while, take a look at how it's developing. This is coming along very well. Ooh, I like it. Very nice. Oh, we would probably have, oh, I see one here. And you can, and if you don't see one, you can just make it up, you know. You don't, it doesn't have to really be here because this is going to be grass. We'll have grasses coming in between these stones. Actually, this, I see this could be a great big long one here. Yeah, very nice. And I want to grab a lot of this darker color because as we work out, we want these to get darker. And we'll have some over here also, just along the shoreline or the water line. And just sort of let it get darker, darker, darker as it fades off into the side. Yes, I like that a lot. Okay, now if you want, you can take and go a little bit of blue, purple into here, a little bit of brown. And if you see places that need to be darker, whoops, not quite dark enough. This purple, blue, brown. Okay. If you want it darker in places, then you just add some dark. More brown. Isn't this exciting? Don't you like this? I think this is very cool. Okay, and I think probably we'll just call that good. I think that's plenty of stones right there. I like that. Okay, now we want to go into a little bit bright. Oh, I see one more thing. Let's darken this right here. Okay. Yeah, that should be very, very nice. All right, now let's go into, be sure and wipe that brush off well. We're going to go into some white. Some yellow, a touch of, excuse me, orange, a touch of orange, a touch of red even. More white. This is just a slightly different color. So I'm not going to hit everywhere with it too much paint. Wipe it off if you get too much. You just want a light coating. And maybe here, here a little touch. How about here? And next, let's go into maybe more of a yellowish color. So all you're doing is just varying these shades a little bit. And I'm just dabbing here and there, no particular order, just wherever I think there should be a little burst of light. This one is definitely too light, so we're going to darken that some. Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's pretty. Soften this a little bit. If you have any edges that are too hard, just soften them. Okay, I have here a Simply Simmons brush. It's a number 2. It's actually a flat brush, but it's worn on the corners a little bit because I've used it so much, but it makes a great brush for water. And so let's go over here. Now I started to mix a little color here. I added some blue, some purple, and some white. And I first dipped into my medium, and then I just touched the napkin just to get most of the paint off. And then I go in here and really squish it. And I can tell I'm going to need some more paint. Let's get some more white, touch of blue, touch of purple. This is going to be part of your waterfall, but it's a lighter color of the falls, the first color. Okay, get that brush, squish it down, and let's go up here to the canvas, and let's just go in here. It's too much, I can tell. Over. Oh, this needs to be darker. This is too light. Okay, let's go into some darker blue, touch of purple, little white. Smash the brush, and let's try this. Let's try it on this side here. Yes, that's good. That's what I was looking for. And I'm going to just kind of blend this back in the background here. You know, actually, I kind of even wanted to bring this out just a hair here. like there was just some water reservoir type thing here. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's go into this little stuff here again. So your water comes down, comes across here. Let's go drop here. I'm going to come over here. And probably wiggle across. Let's come down here. Wiggle across. Splash down here, and definitely down here we would have a splashing. We'll go back, excuse me, we'll go back, we'll be highlighting this with white. But right now we've just got this under bluish color in. And while I've got this color on the brush, I also want to bring this down and just lighten this in here a bit. And I think also, I see this, get some of this dark color. I want to make a little stone right here too, so that this water would kind of go over this way. So we want this a darker color. So using this same brush, and I just dipped it, first I dipped it into water, cleaned it. Now I'm going to dip it into a little bit of medium, tap off the excess, and let's go in here to a clear spot, a clean spot. Wipe off any excess paint. I want to go into some white, a little yellow, a touch of maybe some blue, and a touch of green. Okay, and take and just do a few little lift ups to see if that's what you like. I think that's looking fairly good, Maybe a touch of orange. Oh, too much. I was going to say maybe a touch of orange in there. Oh yeah, that's that. I like that. Okay. So let's go into a few places here. Probably the tree. Back here. Hopefully on my hand is not in the way. I'm just lifting little upward strokes. Smash that brush. That needs more yellow. Gosh, you know, ever since Bob Ross became popular and William Alexander on their TV shows and everybody started painting like them, seems like everybody is in such a hurry to get a painting done. And, you know, there's really no reason to finish a painting in a half an hour. You're really under stress that way. You don't do your best work. You can't really pay attention to detail. And so I've come to believe that doing a painting in a half hour is not a big deal at all. It is so much more rewarding and so much more fun to just do it in your own time. And if you need to, let that painting dry in between. That way you're not mixing your colors. It's easy to redo things and it just works out really great. It's kind of almost like acrylic painting. And in fact, if you wanted to, you could do this painting in acrylic. There would be no problem with that at all. But anyway, that's what I want to stress to you in this video is, I know this is a very long video, way longer than most of my videos, but this one is very, very detailed because I want to give you as much information as I possibly can. And so, again, I stress, do this painting in your own time. Take your time with it. Enjoy the process. Don't be in such a hurry. Our world is so fast-paced right now with everything that's going on, and it's just nice to sit back and relax and take a deep breath and just forget everything that's going on in the world, right? Well, at least I think so. So anyway, you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to let this painting totally dry again. And it should, because these are darker colors that I'm working with, it'll probably only take maybe 4 days if you're using oil paint. So that's not very long, not in the realm of things. Anyway, we're going to let this dry again. And then we're going to finish out those highlights and get started on the rainbow. And that'll be very exciting. Okay, till next time. After I turned my camera off on the last session, I decided that there were some things that I wanted to change. I looked at the painting and I thought, wow, for instance, those trees, they just looked way too large, too white. I shouldn't say too large. They were just too white. And so I thought, well, I need to darken those. So what I did is I just put a little shading on both sides, just so they weren't quite so white. And I think they blend in a lot better with the painting now. And the other thing I did is I just added just a couple rocks right on this side here, just to kind of balance it out. So, okay, now we're ready to go again. Now we're getting into the really exciting part. Okay, I have here a Winsor Newton brush. It's a number 2. This is a very old scrubby, and as you can see, it's really well worn. And you know, actually I think I took a scissors and way back and I just kind of clipped the ends to make it more like, so it would have more tooth to it. This is great for water and trees, or bushes, I'm sorry, bushes, grasses, things like that. I'm dipping into just a little oil medium and then tapping on the sides of the dish. And wipe off any excess. And let's just go into some white. And I'm going to add just, actually, let's start another pile right here. Okay, just a touch of yellow, and I mean just a touch. Just to give it kind of that little sunshine color. I just have hardly any in here at all. Just so it's not pure white. You should have enough on the tips of your brush now to be able to come in here, and let's just come in and drop. Oh yes, see how pretty that is? Just grab more on the tips and grab just the white and the yellow as needed. And on the bottom, it would just kind of be a little tapping motion here. A wiggle. Let's get more paint here, touch of yellow. And let's come down and see where this little rock is here. Let's just go over the rock. Wiggle. As this comes down. Isn't that pretty? Go into some white, touch of yellow. You want to keep this sunshiny color. I think this one did not show up quite enough. Yeah, that's better. Over here. You have to keep loading that brush, just get it just right. Smudge it a little bit if you need to. More white, touch of yellow. Looks like this comes over here. Let's do one here. Now it comes over here, go one down here. And this would come over here. And I think that needs just a touch more thinner. It's getting a little bit too thick, but I don't want too much thinner. There, that's better. And I want this white, lighter color to come out off on these edges this way. Because your light is right over on this side. Okay, wipe that brush off really well, and now just sort of blend that in. Stand back and take a look at it and see if that looks good. I think it does. I see one thing here I want to change. I want to put some dark back in here because this looks like it is not quite level. So we need to bring that more level. See, the water was not quite level. Let's add a little bit more darkness to that. Some blue, some purple, brown. And actually some green. Okay, that is better. Just take and rinse that brush off in a little water or thinner if you're using oil. I'm using water, and when I may do this, I want to make sure I really dry that brush. Go back into a little white with the yellow, just a touch of yellow. And let's do this over here. Okay, I think that's good. I'm just going to leave that like that. Okay, that's it for the waterfall. Except for I see one little thing here. This right there. Okay. All right, next I've got this light on the brush already, so I want to go into some yellow. And let's add just a little bit of black to that. Actually, I'm going to use quite a bit more yellow. Black and yellow make a really kind of a pretty green. And I think we need a little white with that. So I want this bright, but not too terribly bright. Now that might be a bit much, but I'm going to try it. Let's just grab a little bit here. And if you want to use a fan brush instead of a bristle brush like this, you could do that. But I'm going to tap. Okay, and I need some thinner. I can tell that the paint is a little bit too thick. Yes, that's good. So just in between these stones here, wherever you feel like it, I want you to just start adding some grasses. Just little taps. Keep loading the brush frequently. This kind of sets the stones back into the background. Wipe that brush off. And just kind of look at your grasses and see where you think they might need to be. Let's go to the other side. Let's have some grasses back here. Needs a touch of thinner. See, now I'm concentrating. I get so quiet when I concentrate. It's very necessary, however. Like I said, if you want to use a fan brush for this part, that's fine. You could do that. Wipe that brush off, get most of the paint gone. Just sort of blend that in. Just want a little bit of color differentiation here. Stand back and look at it and see what you think. I think that's looking good so far. And now for the rainbow. Now, I really debated on this. I looked at this painting and I thought, wow, there's so many different things I could do. I could have my rainbow coming like this. I could have my rainbow coming like this. I could also have it coming like this. And so I thought, I just didn't know really what I wanted to do. And so I finally made a decision. I have here a bunch of Simply Simmons brushes. These are a number 4. Oh, I've got one number 2 in here. No, I don't need that one. Okay, so these are number 4. So these are great brushes for doing what we're going to do next. I'm going to take my longest one. It's nice and dry. I tell you, these Simply Simmons, these don't stay on very good. I've noticed that. They seem to come off really easy. But okay, this is the hairy part. Okay, what I want you to do, go into a bunch of white. Put it off to the side here. And just wiggle that brush into that paint. Can you see what I'm doing? I hope you can, yeah, I think you can see that. Just load that brush. You only have one chance at this now, so you have to be very careful, because if you ruin it, there's not much hope. So wipe that brush off on all sides. I put the white paint on, then I wiped it off. Before you start, make absolutely sure that your painting is dry. If it's not dry, it'll lift the paint and it will not look pretty at all. So what you want to do is kind of get your hand going in an arc motion, however you want to do your rainbow. I decided to do mine this way. If you're right-handed, you may want to do it this way, because it'll probably be easier for your arc. If you're ambidextrous, go this way. Anyway, I decided this way. I'm going to have the main part of my rainbow right in through here. So I'm just very lightly. Can you see this is starting to develop? Turn the brush over if it starts getting thin. And as I come off to the edges here, I'm lightening my touch. Okay, I want to reload. I'm losing my paint, so I don't want too much, but it has to be enough to go on the painting. The key here, the secret, keep your touch very, very light. I'm not pressing hard at all. And I'm not going over these big trees. And you can make this as wide or as narrow as you choose. You can just sort of see what I'm doing here. You can copy or you can just do your own thing. Let's do a little more white here. Wipe it off. And I think right in here, I want this to show up a little bit better. It's not showing up at all here. Ooh, there we go. Now you want to have this very much into an arc. Stand back and look at it and see what you think. Does it need to be thicker? I don't think I want mine any thicker. Okay, and I think that's probably where I'm just going to stop right there. Now, you're not going to like this. However, we have to let this dry one more time. We absolutely need this white part to dry so that when we go over it with color, the color will actually show up. And so I'm going to take off a little bit of this white here on the tree. A little bit, let that just kind of fade away. Okay, now we're going to leave it, we're going to let it dry, and it'll take another maybe, I don't know, this is a very thin white, so maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe 6. You'll know when you touch it. If nothing comes off on your fingers, if it doesn't feel sticky or tacky, then it's probably fine. Okay, that's where I'm going to leave you for this session. And I swear the next time will be the last session. Well, I am really happy with the way this painting is turning out. And I hope if you're painting along with me that your painting is turning out wonderful too. So anyway, since the last session when I stood back and looked at it, it needed just a couple of little things. So let me show you what I did. When I stood back and looked at this after the last session, I noticed that I had forgotten to lighten the water back here. So I lightened that. I also changed these falls, the flow a little bit, straightened the rocks out some, and I think it looks a lot better now. And then I lightened the water down here. And that's where I'm at. So let's go ahead and continue. Before I started this session, I was playing around with some colors for the rainbow. And you know, I find that by using a solid color, it was just kind of grainy. It was a little bit too dark. And so I added a little white and softened it. And I thought that turned out a whole lot better. Well, I guess you can't see it exactly. But You'll see it as the painting develops. So you might want to play around with your color a little bit before you actually get started. What I'm going to do is go into my little thinner mix. It's just linseed oil and thinner, water mixable. I've just mixed that together, and I'm going to make just a little bit of a water line. So some of this is still wet. Now I just put this in the freezer for the last 10 days. That's how long I've let this dry. And that worked out really good. So I want some white in here, and quite a bit of white. So it's just a very light color. And I'm just going to go down here and just a few little suggestions of water lines. Well, I'll tell you, I did a tremendous amount of experimenting on this painting before I actually did it. I mean, this has taken me over a month to do this painting with all my experiments and stuff. So I tell you, it's really well worth it if you take the time. I am loving this painting, I gotta tell you. I hope you guys are painting along, or at least if you're not even painting along, I hope you're gonna try it. There, that's probably enough. I don't want too much. Maybe just a few places in here might be a little bit lighter. And if you want to do anything to your grasses, now would be the time to do that. I'm not going to do anything with mine because I really like the way they look right now. So I'm just rinsing this brush off in water. Since these are water mixable, that works out so nifty. And actually I'm going to just thin that a little bit there so you can use the water to do that. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Next thing I want to do, I thought it would be fun just to add a couple of flowers. So again, I'm going to dip into my mix here, blot that brush off, get the excess off. And let's see what colors. How about some red? Red and orange. So I'm taking a little bit of red, orange. Let's even do a dab of yellow. That's a pretty good mix there. And just where you think there might be some flowers, let's just add a few. I'm going to add even a little white to that. Whoops. Let's go in here. Little white, yellow, white. Oh, there, that shows up better. It almost looks like dandelions, huh? I have a few on this side. Maybe some red in here. Oh, I love that. This is just my little flat brush, my real small one. Just a few off here on the edge. Whoops, too much. Just wipe it off. How about, oh, even a purple would be pretty. A little bit of thinner, some purple, maybe some white. Well, I haven't got quite enough of either one yet. I'll keep plugging away here and we'll get it. Oh, yeah. Oh, isn't that pretty? So just whatever colors you want. If you want to add flowers, you do not have to add flowers. It's just something that I think makes it look pretty. I think that's enough. I'm not going to go any further than that. Oh, yeah, except I see a little, I think I would like a little red. Touch of white. Right in here in the purplish. Not enough. Little more. Wherever you want them. Yeah, that's great. Okay, I'm going to leave it. I love it. I love it. Okay, rinse that brush off. Blot dry and set that aside. Now we're going to do the rainbow. Gosh, you guys have been waiting a long time for this. So what I have here, I have 5 brushes. These are all actually Simple Simons. They're size 2 and size 4. And I've got 2 smaller ones here and 3 larger ones. I'm going to start out with a larger brush, probably this one here. This looks like a good one. And I'm going to use one brush for each color because I think that is what is going to work out perfect. That way I'm not mixing the colors too much. Okay, to start off, let's just go into some yellow. I've got straight yellow and a dab of white. So it's a light yellow, kind of a pastel. You can see the difference between these 2 colors here. Okay, and then wipe this brush really well. You don't want any globs of paint. This has to be so tiny. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to start right in the middle of the rainbow. Very, very light touch. And just come across and down. A little more yellow here. The reason I've started with the yellow is because I want to be blending into the colors on either side. So basically it would be red on top, then yellow, and then blue. And as we mix them, you'll see what happens. Okay, set that brush aside. And let's grab the next one, fresh, clean brush. Let's go into some red, white. Want to make this a lighter color. I think that might be about right. Let's try it. If not, I'll change it quickly. But I'm just wiping that brush off really well. Let's go up above here. As I come off to this side, I've lightened my touch a lot. I'm flipping the brush over to get a little bit of a fresh load here. Okay, let's leave that. And let's go into our next color. Fresh, clean brush again. And let's go into blue. And some white. probably not enough white. Well, maybe that is enough. That's a little more. That's probably good. Again, wipe off that brush really well. You know, there's been some really wonderful artists in my life that have really inspired me to do different things. And gosh, the first one was Bill Alexander. And then I got into Bob Ross quite a bit. And then there was also Kevin Hill. I just love his artwork. And Jerry Yarnell is a very good artist too. He's more acrylic, but wonderful artist. Oh, this is turning out so nice. I am so tickled pink. I was a little concerned about it. Going to brighten this right in here. I should say maybe darken it a little bit. Also with the yellow, I'm going to do, I think, just the same thing, just a little bit of yellow right in through here. And also that pink, maybe just a little bit here. Yeah, I think that's coming along very nicely. I see that this does need a little bit more in through here. Okay, now try not to mix these colors. We're gonna maybe possibly use them again. Oh, I see a hair there. Well, I can get that off later. Okay, now with one of these clean brushes, now this is a number 2, a smaller brush. Going to go into, I needed just the tiniest dab of alizarin crimson, a darker, kind of a deeper red, and probably a little white with that. See, it is a different color than the pink, that reddish pink. Wipe that off. Let's go on the very outside of the red here. Also, if you have a question, I would love to answer your questions. I'm sure that you people who have not used water mixable oil do have questions about it. So if you have any, just jot them down. Let me know what they are. And then with the last brush, a touch of purple. And a little white. And wipe that brush off. And we're going to go just outside of the blue here. Whoops, that's way too much. See, you can see it, it's way too much. So be sure and wipe that brush off well. You want just a hint of purple under here. This is going to trail off here. And also probably a little bit in here. Let's get one clean brush. Can be any kind of a brush you want. This is my I don't know what it is, number 2. This was a flat brush. What I want to do now is start just very, very lightly Combining the yellow and the pink. Only work with one side of the brush. Don't flip it. Yellow into the red, red into the yellow. Very, very, very lightly. And then wipe that brush off. With the other side, now the clean side, go into the yellow and blue. And if my calculations are right, that will make a greenish color. If it does not come out green enough, we can always add a little bit. And this is not coming out too much. Yellow and blue should make a greenish color. It's not really showing up very much. So I'm going to take some green. This is the same brush. Some white. Wipe it off really well. Let's just, I want to make sure I wipe it off really well. Okay. If you have a suggestion, I would love to hear what it is. If you would just put it in the comments below, maybe I can do something with it. And the same with that, the yellow and the red. If it's not coming out like the orangey color, I'm going to actually clean that brush in water and blot really dry. Really dry. Let's take a hair of orange. Make sure you get all the water out. If not, you'll have a mess. We don't want a mess after working all this time with this. Okay, wipe it off really good. Well, here's an interesting fact. A rainbow happens when the sun hits water droplets at a certain angle to produce beautiful colors. But do you know what the Bible says? Well, it says that God was very unhappy with the evil and destruction that was going on in the world. And so he asked Noah to build an ark. And after it was completed, it was closed. Then it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and it flooded the earth, killing everything that was not in the ark. Well, after that great flood, the water slowly receded until land was visible everywhere. And God said, "The rainbow that I have put in the sky will be my sign to you," speaking to Noah, "and everything, every living creature on earth, that there will never be another flood." And so now, when you see a rainbow, it will remind you that God will keep his promise forever. Just think about that every time you see a rainbow. What a beautiful story. I love that story. So what do you think? Isn't that pretty? If you have a bunny brush, you can go ahead and just go across this. Well, this will give you an absolutely perfect ending to a beautiful rainbow painting. So you guys know the drill. Get those brushes out, get your canvas out, and start painting. Okay, blessings till next time. Bye-bye.